Told you were going to kick me out of the class after that one.
No, I think it's very cool. However, what's the story in there? How do you read it now? After
I mean, it's...
By the way, in terms of the artwork of it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that, to me, when I approached it, to me, it was like a mockery of all that stuff we've been talking about. I mean, it's like totally an overwhelming guns and drugs and sex fest. So.
And it's funny because it's so in your face.
Yeah.
You sort of go like, oh.
Yeah, and like the band or the artists that did it, like they're kind of facetious all the time, you know. So like they're not really serious about all the stuff they're talking about. At the same time, they kind of are. So, you know, I don't know. I wasn't. A lot of people criticized me for making it so over the top and just like so objectifying and just shameless. But I don't know. I was kind of joking.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting is that how like the dancers around the rappers are mostly like racially white.
I didn't want it to be that way. That was like, I wanted more black girls in it, to be honest. But
it looked like it was like suggesting that like, especially with the darker rapper, like was it kind of like, I don't know. I took it as like suggesting that he has like more power that way. That he has like.
Like the comment we saw in the documentary about all the girls around the guy shows him as being really powerful. Yeah.
And how he has all the like white girls around him.
Totally. That's interesting that you caught that because it's kind of part of his thing, his shtick. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I wanted more that there'd be more black girls. There just weren't as many black girls available to act for it. But
now, were the women in the video, were they generally part of the entourage of the band, or were they just people you brought in?
They were my homegirls. Yeah, they were just friends. I mean, some of them were friends with the band. The one black girl that we did have was a friend of the black rapper Z-Man.
I mean, to me, just apart from the fact that it's your video, it's representing a particular discourse around black masculinity and raps, and it's the guns and the drugs and the sex. It's that whole cultural scene is clearly what it's talking about. Would I show it to my daughter when she was 8 now? But that raises the question, as viewers, how do we think about this music and the videos that come with it? I wouldn't show it to my daughter when she was 8. Would I mind her watching it now? She's 19 now. Am I offended by it? No. I can place it in its cultural context. Even with the young girls that we heard talking in the documentary, they had a perspective on it and were fairly empowered around it, and yet we talked about them being shaped by it. So to what extent do we think, and this video is a good way to get into that, to what extent do we think that media really affects us? How does it affect us? To what extent does it affect us? And to what extent are we the viewer and we can read it in different ways? We can reflect on it. I was laughing at it at points. So if you're seeing something as funny, the Bordeaux article talks about this argument that it is simply pleasure. And if it gives you pleasure, it's fine. You can choose to view it. So how do we view that whole debate? Does media affect us in ways that are clearly damaging? Does it depend on the viewer? Does media not affect us in bad ways, that it is simply pleasure? What do you think? On a personal level as well as on an intellectual level. Do you feel that the media that you see and watch really affects you? If it does, how?
I mean, to talk about myself is, I think on a subconscious level it affects us a lot more than we know, even if we are kind of like jaded, hardened experts in it, I mean, because to analyze myself,